Esther year. Now, it happened to be over here towards just a Jewish festival, Hanukkah, and it's going to mark the Hilula of famous Moroccan Rabbi Rabbi Yichie Shitrit Z'tl, a really great rabbi of his time. But I believe we've mentioned about on various occasions before, and quite a few of the rabbis we're going to mention about in today's video we have already brought up on various occasions before. 20 years of Kislev, Chav Kislev, marks this Hilula. 1972 he passed away. We're talking about 53 years ago. He was actually born all the way back in 1888, towards the end of the 19th century. Let's explore a few of the highlights of the famous rabbi's life. Now, friends, he came from a rabbinic auspices. I believe his father's name was Rav Moshe, and his mother's name was Rabbanit Aziza. And I think he was born in Arapot, or in the Tiflalat place in Morocco, respectively, a place we've spoken about on various occasions on this series. Now, while he was towards the start, he would learn Torah through his father, Harav Moshe Shitrit, and through his grandfather, Rabbi David Shitrit, really great rabbis, and through many of the great rabbis from the Abu Chatzera rabbinic dynasty, especially through Rav Masud Abu Chatzera, one of the great rabbis of there, Brusham Chacham Masud Abu Chatzera, or Bano Chacham David Abu Chatzera, Hashem Yikam Demos. Really, Rav Masud Abu Chatzera was a great rabbi of his time. A rabbi, I think we recorded a video about him about 18 months ago, if I recollect. There's so much can be said within regards to him. I think he was a Rosh Hashiva in Wisni, for example. I think he lived between 1828 till the year 1908. He was a great rabbi. I think he was also the father of Rabbi Yisrael Abu Chatzera, Yisrael Abu Chatzera, the Baba Sali, Rabbi Yitzchak Abu Chatzera, and he very much was outstanding in his time in Risni. He was born in 1828, and much has been said within regards to him. That's something I will definitely point out. So his son was also Rav Masud's son was Rabbi David Abu Chatzera, one of the great rabbis of his time, and unfortunately he was murdered. And just see the anti-Semitism that took place all throughout history. Rabbi David Abu Chatzera actually lived between the years 1866 till 1919, respectively. He was one of the great rabbis in Tafillat of his time, and much has been said about him. I think he was nicknamed actually the Ateret Rishono, if I'm not mistaken, and what was the author of many great different Torah books in itself, and I think he was the Talmid, if I'm not mistaken, of Rabbi Yaakov Abu Chatzera, and would author the Petach HaOhel, the Sechel Tov, and the Rosh V'Seifa, also respectively. Really great and important Torah works in its time, and something that we've mentioned about on various occasions before. So we can see really about the pedigree and the rabbis that were surrounding Rabbi Yichie Shitrit while he was at a young age. It's something which is very, very much you can note for. As we mentioned before, would actually learn, reported over, with a famous Baba Sali. Remember, the Baba Sali is a great rabbi. We've mentioned about on various occasions before inside this series. So he was really with probably many of the most famous Moroccan rabbis of its time. Let's say something about the Baba Sali, because he was a great rabbi. Just for a minute, who was close to, he lived between 1889 to 1984, the Baba Sali. Anyone tuning in live at the moment, please subscribe to our channel. We've got fantastic content here as we tour around Israel and we explore the great rabbis of yesteryear. They were in the Oriental Jewish countries, Jewish communities all over the world. So please join our community and subscribe, and welcome also fantastic people. Okay, so Rabbi Yisrael Abu Chatzera was very much close with Rabbi Yichie Shitrit, was a leading Moroccan Sephardic rabbi. He was a Kabbalist. He was well known for his ability to work miracles through tefillot, through prayer. I think he's actually buried in the Tivot, and his place of burial is, let's say, a shrine for prayers in of itself. In fact, Rabbi Yisrael Abu Chatzera was born in the year 1889, so it's quite interesting. He was born a year after Rabbi Yichie Shitrit, if I'm not mistaken, who was born in the year 1888 over there. And the Abu Chatzera family itself was a great rabbinic dynasty, and so very interesting. I think he's a patriarch, let's just say, of the family was Rabbi Shmuel Abu Chatzera, who was born in the land of Israel it's actually interesting. Rabbi Shmuel would live in Damascus for a while, where he would study Torah together with Rabbi Chaim Vital, a great rabbi. So really, the great pedigree. And I think the Chida Rabbi Chaim Yosef David Azulay says in his great book called the Shem Hagdolim, he describes Rabbi Shmuel Abuchatzera as an Ish Elokim Kadosh, a holy man of God. Wise people seek of his might and wonders in saving the Jewish community from many difficulties. So we see that the Abuchatzera family in of itself was a great rabbinic dynasty, and the Baba Sali as a child was himself a great diligent Torah scholar. He was studying day and night. He was only 12 years of age. He would start fasting, I think, during the 6 weeks of Shovavim. Knowing his parent, so very interesting. After his bar mitzvah, he entered the family's yeshiva, where I think the students rose at midnight for Tikkun Chatzot, for example, and would study Kabbalistic works until dawn, when they would go to the mikveh, the ritual bath, to pray, the morning service, and they're learning a vigorous day of Torah schedule, learning the Gemara study in depth, afternoon tefillot, Shur and Shulchan Aruch, and so on and so forth. It's actually interesting. The Baba Sadi, I think, would immigrate to Israel and settle in Lod, if I'm not mistaken. He would try and himself move to Becca, to Jerusalem, and I think he was after Rabbi Ben Sion Meir Chai Uziel had passed away, I think in 1953. He was actually offered a position as chief rabbi, which he turned down. And several years after he was actually in Israel, let's just point out the Baba Sali, I think he would actually go back to Morocco, if I'm not mistaken, and return there to try and inspire the Jewish community over there. And eventually in 1964, he would return to Netivot and would become very, very famous there in himself. So the Baba Sali, Rabbi Yisrael Abuchatzera, was very close, I believe, with Rabbi Yichie Shitrit. So that's very, very interesting. It's something else to point out. I think, come with the year 1920, B'shanat Tafresh Pei, Bizman, Hahit, Komamot Keneged Hatzarfatim, Nirtzach Chacham David Abuchatzera. I think at that point in time, sadly, Rabbi David Abuchatzera, who was close to, had been murdered. At that point in time, it was a time period, unfortunately, of strife over there. Rabbim b'nei akilot baruchu im Chacham Yisrael Abuchatzera merisni la'arpod. They would travel from, or they would flee from Risni to another area called Arpod because of all the, let's just say, the terribleness that was actually happening in those areas. Umisham lebodniv. I think they will eventually go to Bodniv, I think, which is quite close to Algeria or Algiers, respectively, over there. So I think come with the year 1913, Tafrich Tzaddiks of it, Rabbi Yichie Shitrit will go on to live in Algiers. That will be, I think he'll spend a significant period of time over there. And come on, Tafshin Hay, just towards the end of the Second World War time period, in 1945, Hu Kavar ben Chamashim V'Sheva. At that stage in time, he was 57 years of age. Hu Noset Isha Al Pi Chalom. He would, through a dream, I believe. This will be Et Marat Sultana, Ishto Hashniya, V'Noldu Lahem Shmona Yeledim. They'll have 8 children, if I'm not mistaken. Come on, 1962, Im Nesigat Tzarfat Algeria, Chacham Yichie Shitrit Ovar Le Paris. He would eventually move to Paris. Remember, at that point in time, I think he was probably Algerian. And Shamhu Manhi Kila Gdula Shel Yotzei Morocco. Many of the great for the Moroccan community in Algiers, he would become the rabbi of this congregation in itself. Anyone tuning in live at the moment, please subscribe to our channel. We've got fantastic content over here where we explore the history of various some great Torah scholars of yesteryear, especially from Oriental and Middle Eastern countries of it. And we happen to be speaking about Rabbi Yichie Shitrit today, one of the great Moroccan rabbis of his time. So it was in 1962. He would, I think, he would go on those travels and pass Paris in itself and become the rabbi of the Kehillah. I think he would work also, I'll state it in Hebrew, Chacham Yichie Shitrit Mishamesh Ktubat Lekol Davar Sheb'Kedusha. All the, let's say, holy undertakings he will take on himself over here. Just reading this from the Homer website. Rabbi Shel Kehillah, he was a rabbi of congregation. Shochet, he was a kosher slaughterer. He was a Mohel, a rabbi that will perform circumcision. The וסופר HaKotev Sifrei Torah Tefillin and Mezuzot. He was also a scribe. He will write various different Sifrei Torah, Tefillin and Mezuzot respectively. Beito haya patuach lekol b'achnasat orchim ufleget. His house was open wide to the throngs of the public that they could come and so on and so forth, and he can do hachnasat orchim. Vaya po'el rabot lashkin Shalom ben ish leishto ben adam lechavero, who would try and make peace between partners in businesses or husbands and wives in general, and make sure that it will be a solid foundation. Rabim hayu ponim alav lekabel itza. Many people come to him asking for advice, and that was something very, very important. Chacham Yichie Shitrit Z'tl kotev lahem kimiyot, amulets. He would write for them. Umachalek mayim mevorachim, passing waters that have been blessed. Lelo purusum gadol. But anava b'savlanut b'fnei kol adam. He had great humility for each person. Boreach mina kavod. He wasn't one for honor. Vayam avatel atzmo b'fnei chachamim. Ubrat. Lebaba Sali v'lechachmei mishpachat Abu Chatzera really respected the great rabbinic Abu Chatzera family. Imam Haya b'kesher etzuf kol yimei chayv, and was in constant connection, let's just say, to the famous rabbinic family all throughout his life. Now, I think Rabbi Yichie Shitrit nitbakesh lebeit olamo b'yoto k'ben 84. I think he was about 84 years of age. I think I heard differing opinions how old he was, but seemingly it was on 20th of Kislev. Just using the Haimi website as a source, that was in the year 1972. He passed away. This was 5 days before the Jewish festival of Hanukkah. And Rabbi Yichie Shitrit katav chidushim d'roshim. He would actually write various different teachings and drashot sermons in himself. Many of the teachings that he would write in various different forms were teachings he would actually get from the great Abu Chatzera rabbinic dynasty. V'chen mepi aviv Chacham Moshe Shitrit, also through Rav Moshe Shitrit, the sabo Rav Dado Shitrit, if I'm not mistaken. Rabbim michtavim avdu lanu. I think many of his manuscripts or his writings would get lost. U'amar nisha etzel ben zakonav Chacham Eliyahu Shitrit nitrusu sifro ahavei Yesh, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was printed in the year 2016 in Jerusalem, respectively. We're going to explore a few of the highlights of this famous book as the minutes progress over here. And just a short note, anyone that's welcome here live, anyone that's come on live over here, welcome to our community as we're exploring the history of great Rabbi Yichie Shitrit, who was a famous rabbi of his time, something that we have to point out in Morocco. And it's not the first Moroccan. If you look inside our channel and our community, friends, we've already recorded possibly about a staggering, maybe at least 100 Moroccan rabbis already inside this series, which is absolutely phenomenal and something that I have to point out over here. So welcome anyone that you're tuning in live. Welcome to our community as we explore the history of a famous Rabbi Yichie Shitrit, one of the great rabbis there was, I think, in recent times in Morocco, during a let's just say a specific era, period in of itself, where much was taking place over there, and something that we very much have to point out. Okay, so let's explore a bit more with regards to the great rabbi, because there's a lot more that we can say over here, friends. Just to add on a couple more notes, let's explore a few of the highlights of his book. I think that's definitely a good place to progress over here within regards to that over here, friends. Okay, so just to explore a few of the highlights of the great Torah colossal Sefer, or his writings that he did, actually states over, I think, one of his teachings in the Ahavi Yesh in page 165, which is printed in Jerusalem once again. Melamed sin'a ba'al teshuvah levarech shna'a va'adif metzadik gamor. Again, the importance of someone that's a tzaddik gamor. You can't take that on in of itself, but also the importance about being bali teshuvah, someone returning to Judaism. Another teaching from page 174 in Ahavi Yesh. Melamed im eno mehane mimono l'shum adam hare ein me'uma biyado. This is another teaching. And let's teach a couple more teachings. Melamed shlivo l'shmiya v'avtalion l'shmaya l'avtalion shebnei melachim kodmim lekohen gadol. The importance, just talking about the great Shmaya and Avtalion from the Talmud, and about the Kohen Gadol over here. Another teaching coming from his book. I think this teaching, if I'm not mistaken, comes from page 283 from the same book. Melamed ma'alat hakvura be'eretz Yisrael shesham sha'ar hashamayim. The importance, the gates of heaven open in Eretz Yisrael in itself, and the greatness within regards to this beautiful country. That's something that we have to point out. Also, just two more short teachings. Melamed shachova lilmod This actually comes from page 124. And one last teaching over here. Melamed mishe'arher liten HaKadosh Baruch Hu noten lo ma liten. Just another important teaching. I believe this comes from page 113, respectively. So really, it's a pleasure to always speak about great rabbis in of itself. Falat. There was many great rabbis over there in that specific vicinity in of itself. Remember, there's a whole. We mentioned, I think there's various different lists of the famous rabbis from different places of Morocco, which we've already, let's just say, really explored here on various occasions before, and inside the index. And I wouldn't mind actually relating it over also once again. The Abu Khatsera family in of its own right was a very famous family, and we've spoken about them on various occasions before. Especially one of my favorite videos that we recorded during this time period was about Rabbi Yaakov Abu Khatsera, who was one of the great, let's say, rabbis. I think he passed away, if I'm not mistaken, around 1880-ish time period. But we spoke about many of the great rabbis, including, I think, Rabbi Makhluf Abu Khatsera, and so on and so forth. So we spoke about Tfilah today. Many of the main concentrated communities there were in Morocco was in Aswera, in Dibdobo, in Meknes, in Marrakesh, for example, in Fez. Another great community was in Safra, in Casablanca, Rabat, and Salah also, and Titou, for example. And also, last but not least, definitely Tefi Falat. Most of them, great rabbis especially, came from the famous rabbinic dynasty of the Abu Khatsera family. But we have to point out also another great rabbi we've spoken about on various occasions before, Rabbi Moshe Torjman, also came from Tiflat. He was a great posek halacha and a judge, a dayan, and he was working as a Rosh Yeshiva in Tiflat, and was the rabbi of the Baba Sali, the famous Baba Sali in itself. So you can see how they were all located and connected together, all these great rabbis. So I recommend maybe we'll at one stage in time record a video in of itself of the entire, maybe the rabbinic dynasty of the Abu Khatsera family. I think it will definitely be something that will be very opportune and very, very important to do, as we will embark more and make more progress in all the great works that we are doing. Now, friends, we are a community here. We are learning over here about great rabbis there were of yesteryear. We've already recorded approximately in the series about 1,400 great rabbis of yesteryear, something that we should point out and a great achievement, and we try and go from strength to strength at the moment within regards to that. That's something I very much have to point out over here. Now, friends, if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. We are nearing at the moment a staggering 8,000 subscribers. We've got fantastic, important content in of itself, and how important is to actually experience a wisdom, let's just say, of great rabbis. So very, very important. Came from a great, let's just say, family pedigree in of itself, and you can see he really achieved a huge amount. The great rabbi did in his life. So that's something that's always a breath of fresh air just to hear about and just to speak about. And every day we try and record biography videos of great rabbis of yesteryear. So if you joined this channel, please subscribe. If you're new here, you're coming new onto the channel over here, welcome, and would really, really appreciate and value all you fantastic people out there. That's something I will definitely point out over here on this day. Now, also recording these biography videos is not all that we do here. We also are exploring the Jewish community history in various countries across the world. Is another thing that we are very much proud about over here on our channel and our community, and really hope we can go from strength to strength within regards to that. We also have an interesting Jewish personality every day coming onto the channel to give over a burst of wisdom for Am Yisrael, and we've already recorded with approximately about 450, maybe even as many as 500 rabbis inside the series so far. And really a burst of information, or let's say a tidbit, which the Dvar Torah usually given is a minute or 2 or 3 minutes. And we've had some of the top rabbis across the world that have recorded for us. So we like to explore the history of then, and we like the present at the moment by recording great rabbis. We also record videos on the weekly Torah portion. That's something that we just did on just not so long ago. We did that on another channel over here. With this week's Torah reading is going to be Parashat Vayeshev, which I very much recommend everyone to watch. And please, once again, welcome to our community if you are new over here, and please once again subscribe. We also do tours all over Israel. That's something else that we're very proud about, and we should point out. We like to explore different parts of Israel, archaeology of Israel, the nature in Israel, and so on and so forth. We see such value and such importance, and so on and so forth. So very, very important, and we're all over the place recording these. That's something that we have to point out, and we like to grow as a community and improve constantly over here. But thanks everyone for the fantastic feedback I've been hearing over the last period of time. Always great to hear great feedback from everyone. I really, really appreciate it. And once again, just asking everyone, please subscribe to the channel as we are nearing 8,000 subscribers. And on that note, wishing you a great night. And please learn more about the great Shitrit families in itself, and using over here the Jaime website as a resource for today's video. That's something I will definitely very much point out over here. So wishing you all a great day. Thanks, and please subscribe to the channel. Have a great day.